NASCAR is a high-tech heavy metal road trip. The sights, sounds, and emotions of adrenaline unleashed. And nobody knows that better than veteran driver Kenny Wallace.
NASCAR's popularity is growing. Did you know that NASCAR is the fastest growing spectator sports in all of America? But you know what? It all starts at the race shop. These multi-million-dollar facilities house a fleet of race cars. Well, the only thing stock on this race car is the outside. It looks like your car on the street, but everything underneath is high-tech. We call these the weekend warriors. They come in and they pit the race car to make sure that car has got 12-second pit stops on race day. We need the media to make sure we can expose our sponsorship throughout the United States. Could you imagine us racing in front of empty grandstands? Not possible. NASCAR's fan base is 75 million strong, and now with the new NASCAR Nextel Cup era coming in and expanded media coverage, the sky is the limit.
Every race may end at the finish line, but they start inside high-tech race shops.
It all starts at the race shop. Race teams build their cars from the ground up, hiring people throughout the United States that are specialists in their area. These multi-million-dollar facilities house a fleet of race cars.
Every NASCAR shop is a self-contained laboratory, specializing in building racing machines. Here, 800 horsepower beasts are born.
The first thing you have to have is you have to have bosses. This is my crew chief, Chris Rice. Chris, what is this area right here?
Well, this is specially poured concrete that is level, and it helps us set the race cars up.
Man, there looks like there's some pretty precise stuff here. Now, I noticed that to the left of us is race cars, and there's nothing wrong with them. Why are they sitting here?
Well, Kenny, you got to have different race cars for different racetracks, as you know. And this is your backup Daytona car coming up, and this is our future Nashville car.
Awesome. Okay, let's go check these race cars out over here that are having motors put in them. This area here I don't understand because the cars don't look like they're ready to go. What is this area?
No, Kenny, this is where we're putting our motors in, putting oil in them and filling them up full of gas, getting them ready to go.
Final preparation. All right. Well, let's go back to the fab shop and check that area out. We're in the fabrication shop. Is this where all the cars are built?
Yeah, we have two surface plates here that we start each and every race car for you right here on this surface plate.
Okay, now I see a lot of parts and pieces around here. How come so many welders?
Well, you have a lot of welders because there's a lot of welding that goes on in each and every race car. We have every machinery that it takes to make each and every race car.
Well, I can tell you for a fact that this is where winning starts, right here when they build these race cars. Well, Chris, this is a really clean environment. It's sectioned off. Nobody can come in here. What's this all about?
Well, this is where we pack all the wheel bearings and put all the suspension together.
Oh, that's awesome. So that way everything's rolling really good for me. Well, Chris, this room really feels warm right now. Has a motor been running in here?
Yeah, Kenny, this is our chassis dyno room. We just got done chassis dyno on a car for you.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. Now, everything is buried under the ground?
Everything's under the ground. I know you see sometimes at the racetrack it's up above the ground where they can check it at the racetrack.
Yeah, it's usually on a trailer. Well, Chris, what is this area all about? Looks like there's enough bolts and nuts to put the space shuttle together.
Yeah, we have brand new bolts every week in the car because we have so much stress on the chassis each and every week.
Wow, well, I'm glad I have new bolts and nuts every week. I don't want my car falling apart. Well, now, you know, I look behind me here and all I see is just springs. What is that all about?
Yeah, you have to have a lot of different springs for each and every racetrack because it's a lot of different suspension setups.
So we need different springs for Daytona, road courses, and short tracks. Wow, we've got it all here. You know, if you're a big-time NASCAR team, you have a parts room that looks like a retail parts store. Every NASCAR team has to have every part it takes to be self-sufficient. My team has hundreds of gallons of paint in stock. We have tape, sandpaper, everything it takes to paint a race car.
At the track, the garage is a weekend extension of the race shop. But cars aren't the only finely tuned machines being built. Race crews must also prepare, the same way they prepare their cars. It happens with exercise and hours of practice.
Well, Chris, I mean, this is what it's all about. What are we doing?
We're going to do a little pit stop practice. I got my watch on them right now.
We have a special place here at the race shop where we do practicing pit stops. My guys just do it every week. Practice, practice, practice. Well, Chris, I really want to thank you for taking all of us fans on a shop tour.
You're welcome, but, I got to go to work because we got to go racing.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to tell you what, you've seen really in-depth footage of a great race shop. And
Hey, before you go, can you do a little sweeping for us, please?
Oh, man, these guys are rough on me, but I will sweep up because this is my race shop, so I hope you've enjoyed the tour. Well, here we are inside the NASCAR garage, and everybody wants to know, where is the heartbeat of the garage area? Well, it's right here, the Oval Office, and we're going to go in there and find out just what happens inside the Oval Office, so let's check it out.
Mike Helton is the president of NASCAR. He is the heartbeat of the Oval Office, monitoring the pulse of each race weekend.
Well, this is it. We're finally here, the Oval Office. This is where all the bosses of NASCAR sit, and we have the president of NASCAR, Mike Helton. Now, Mike, I know this is the office. Everybody's got a nickname. They say it's the Oval Office is because this is where you do what? What is your job up here?
Well, the heartbeat of the race event is from this office. This is John Darby's office. This is the principal's office.
It's the principal's job to educate students. And on race weekend, it's up to Helton to ensure that teams are well schooled in driver's ed.
The other guy up here, which is very important, is the director of competition, which is John Darby. Now, John, you're always in that seat. What do you do there?
Well, a lot of time is spent just making sure that we've got everything in the garage as it applies to the NASCAR rule book. At the end of the day, we make sure that everybody's in agreement that the rule book is what guides us through an event weekend in regards to parts and pieces.
When the race is running smoothly, it's an easy day for Helton and John Darby. But when well-oiled race cars become oil slicks and scrap metal, then it's up to the men in the Oval Office to make sure that race day doesn't become as twisted as the wreckage on the track. On the high-banked, high-pitched, emotional battlefield, it's not hard for drivers and teams to overheat. It's up to the Oval Office to ensure that cooler heads prevail.
We have our children who get out of line. Sometimes we have to come in here and correct them.
Whether overlooking pit road or track flags, NASCAR officials are the most overlooked element on race day. And overlooking the officials is NASCAR control.
High above every racetrack is NASCAR control. This is where they talk with an army of officials to make sure all the race teams are on a level playing field and to make sure cooler heads prevail. Well, here we are, race control. This is the most important place of any race. This is Managing Event Director David Hoots. Now, David runs the races.
Drivers, as you board your race cars, index your wheel, pull back on your steering wheel, lean forward on your restraint systems, and signal to the NASCAR inspector assigned to your car that you're ready to participate in the race.
I know it's a big, long process, but can you try to explain to us how this all works?
I'd be glad to, Kenny. Here would be where the series director would be. Either it be John Darby in the Nextel Cup, Brian Dehart in the Busch Series, or Wayne Alton in the Craftsman Truck Series. And this is where they've got their finger on the nerve center of what's happening. They're sitting there, they're able to communicate via telephone or radio up here, and they're sitting beside the race director. Another set of eyes to take an overall look at what's happening during the race. They're up here to do that, and they take a big snapshot from 10,000 feet of what's going on, whether it be technical, procedural, or whatever. The next workstation is where I'm at. I'm in charge of dispatching the cleanup trucks and the caution cars and relaying information to all the inspectors and the flagmen. I'm the one that you hear over a scanner most of the time, giving out these communications to the different officials around the racetrack. The next workstation we have here that would be beside me would be the timing and scoring official. And as you see, the laptop is open up right there. This is the freeze the field laptop. You depress one button and the field is frozen around the racetrack with all the multiple loops that have been embedded in the racetrack. This same official activates the caution lights, both radio controlled and permanent, around the racetrack. The next workstation is where Mike Helton comes in and oversees the operation of the entire event, and he works right there. He's able to monitor radio, TV, broadcast, and he oversees the entire operation of what each person that I've laid out here does during the course of the event, and he also adds his input during the race. It's a rather complex thing, but it's also very simple because each person is focusing on one thing, and we rely on Mike Helton and John Darby, or the series director, to take the view from 10,000 feet above down to see how everything's working and make sure that we're producing a very smooth running race that you competitors love to race in.
You guys do a great job every week. It's almost the next closest thing to Star Wars.
It's always fun to black flag my friend Kenny Wallace.
Easy now, buddy.
From high above, the Goodyear blimp circles around NASCAR races. And it's Goodyear tires that keep the cars circling around the track.
Well, when it comes to tires, where does every race car driver go to? They go to Goodyear, the #1 in tires. At every facility on the NASCAR series, there's a building right in the middle of the racetrack. We're going to go inside and just see what these guys do. Well, here we are with the biggest unsung heroes in auto racing, the Goodyear Tire Busters. Now, this is Motorsports Marketing Manager for Stock Cars. This is Phil Homer. Now, Phil, one thing I've always wanted to know, there's 43 race cars on the track, and about 50 show up every week. How do you go about mounting all these tires?
We actually start now on Tuesday morning. We have to make everything work right, 3 sets of practice and qualifying tires for every team, 9 sets minimum for every car of race tires.
Wow.
Then we still keep on going through Friday and Saturday mounting tires.
That's an awful lot of tires.
It is. Do you want to see how we do this?
I'd love to see how you mount these tires.
Okay,
Let's take a look. Okay, Phil, now you're going to take me through this process, right?
Yeah, Kenny, here we go. A liner is more pliable than people think. So this is one of the great safety innovations that came to NASCAR. Actually, it was over 3 decades ago. When it's inflated, we'll have 15 more pounds of air than the outer liner. That keeps the inner liner against the bead. You basically got to mount 2 tires at the same time. Now he's going to throw her up on the machine, and they're putting a little bit of lubricant on there. We try to keep as much moisture out of the tire as possible because, you know, that will expand and build pressure. And these are specially, they might look like a regular mounting machine, but they are specially made mounting machines. They're much stronger than you would find in any store. But all the wheels have a harmonic, and so do the tires, and we match them up. All the wheels are done over the winter time when the teams buy new wheels. And that's basically it. It's all technique, believe me.
Well, it gets pretty noisy in here every once in a while. I want to thank Phil Homer. That was pretty incredible. 2 tires in 1. How many tires do you mount up and go through on an average NASCAR Nextel Cup weekend?
Our average weekend can be anything from 2,300 to 2,500 tires.
Wow, 2,500 tires. That's a lot. Now, each tire costs how much?
$402, $1,600 a set.
That's a lot of money.
It is. There's a tremendous amount of technology during production, what has gone into the engineering of the tires, the creation of the tires, and even after the tires are manufactured, the testing that they have to go through to make sure they're absolutely the best and most uniform tires in racing.
Over $1 million are spent to supply tires for one race on one weekend. The cost is high, but every NASCAR team knows that the only path to victory is found where the rubber meets the road. Race after race, NASCAR teams are fueled by a desire to drive their cars to victory lane. But what fuels the cars themselves?
Well, where do we get the fuel that powers these 800 horsepower race cars? It's right here. Look at it. It's a Sunoco gas station right in the middle of the infield. 112 octane, so that's a lot more than yours on the streets. Now, when this place gets really busy, it's right in the middle of the race. Everybody comes down here with their little trailers, their 11-gallon gas cans, and this could be like a traffic jam. Before the very first pit stop, people are lined up here and ready to go. They simply pump the gas right out of the fuel pumps and the gas cans.
Inspections are the first line of defense in ensuring that every race weekend is run fairly. The process begins as the cars line up to enter an area known as the Room of Doom.
The first step of the weekend is taking the primary car and getting it through a rigorous NASCAR inspection. They check every square inch of the race car to ensure a level playing field. Well, here we are in one of the most intense rooms in all of NASCAR. This is NASCAR inspection. Now, this is one of my good friends, Buster Otten. Buster is the NASCAR Transportation Director. He takes care of everything there is in NASCAR. Now, Buster, you know just about everything, and today we're here getting ready for the race. And one thing I want to know is, on any given weekend, from the time you start inspecting that car and by the time he's done, how long does it take, do you think?
I'd say roughly about 10, 15 minutes, 20 at the most, to do one car all the way through every inspection area.
During inspection, every car must weigh exactly 3,400 pounds fully loaded. And every car must also measure up to 32 exacting templates.
They get a little bit more fickle about the templates of the events, and 60 thousandths makes a big difference, and it all depends on how the officials hold the template versus how the templates were held at the shop.
To ensure a smooth inspection on race day, the process actually begins back at the race shops.
Right there.
Got a lot riding on you, Timmy.
Just getting in and out of it, Tony.
And now you realize if we don't get a sticker the first time through, we got to stay there all day long.
All day.
And if we get a sticker the first time through, we can go home. You guys have an afternoon off, go play golf or something. So there's a lot of pressure on you. Think you can handle this?
Two people hold a template completely different, and if it's moved, just a little bit, it could be off 60 thousandths on the other side. So you just got to do what it is they want.
What everyone wants is to play by the same set of rules.
We've got a sheet that we go by and we check off. If they've got a problem, we write it in red.
When they give you red, which is 70 thousandths, that's not much, and you have to be within that tolerance. So you have to work on it or you don't have to work on it.
If anything is wrong on that car, it has to go back to the garage area and come back through NASCAR inspection before it hits the racetrack.
They've got to go back to their garage, fix the problem, come back to the inspection bay after everybody else has gone through.
We had a couple little issues. The spoiler template missed a little bit on the top. It was too short, so we had to weld to the top of the spoiler. No big deal. Just let us work in the right areas. And NASCAR's consistent. Just if it misses that little bit and they complain about it, well, we can live with that. So it's just part of the game. You see a lot of cars going through again for the second time. And a lot of cars are backed up to their trailer working on it.
Look at all these people out here. You see all these people going back through technical inspection? That's part of super speedway stuff.
The process may seem daunting, but it ensures that almost every NASCAR fan will have an equal chance of seeing their favorite team win on any given weekend.
Basically, how many times do you go through inspection on each car for race week?
It's usually 3, twice on Friday morning, and then Friday afternoon qualified. Then we do it again for Sunday for the race.
So it's just a full-time job making sure these guys don't cheat.
We try to keep a playing field at everybody's level. Everything's the same for all competitors.
And with so many teams fighting fair, it's important to note whenever rules are broken.
Now, sometimes when I walk up into the NASCAR trailer, I see all these illegal parts. Tell me, when you catch an illegal part and I see them up there, what do you do with them?
We take them and tag them who they are, and we leave them out for the other competitors to see what we found that's not directly by the rule book. Then we'll take them back, and it goes to John Darby, Gary Nelson, and Mike Hilton. Them, they'll sit down, they'll decide what the penalty is going to be.
After the checkered flag has fallen, the top 5 cars and a few random selections are subjected to a final post-race inspection, which includes remeasurements and a complete teardown of each car's engine.
Well, Buster, listen, I really appreciate it. And I guess what it's all about is keeping everybody level and making sure nobody gets an advantage.
That's exactly what our guys try to do. And, you know, it takes a lot of people to do it.
Well, thanks a lot, Buster. Really appreciate it. There's 2 crews within one team. The first crew is the A team. It helps get the car through qualifying and practice. They want to get this car handling as good as they can before they start qualifying.
For NASCAR race teams, preparation for the next event begins bright and early on Monday morning.
Monday and Tuesday are generally the 2 biggest productive days because all the shop crews here, the road crews here, A and B road crews here. So everyone's here Monday and Tuesday. Monday morning, we stripped the car, washed it, and we actually sent it to the fab shop to do a little bit of chassis work. And it was back in the shop Tuesday morning, ready to go. And everyone kind of knew the plan we had to have. And by lunchtime, that car was on the surface plate getting ready to get set up. There was a lot of work done for that, but the car was ready to load up this morning at 11 o'clock.
Once the car is loaded onto the hauler, the grueling schedule keeps race crews working till the cows come home. That's because once the team arrives at the track, the whole process begins again. The car is unloaded, wheeled into the garage area, re-inspected, and recalibrated for the immediate conditions. Even at the track, race engineers have an uncanny knack for sniffing out any problems that might arise.
Hey, Ryan, I just told her locker, I don't know what kind of lubrication they have in here, but it stinks terrible in here. It smells like it's burned up.
It did have a little color to it. Oil did.
When?
When I checked it this morning, it was a little bit browner than it usually is.
Put some fresh stuff in there.
All right.
Once the car is fully prepped and tested, the first unit steps aside, and the race day team takes over.
Then on Sunday, the second crew comes in. We call these the weekend warriors, and they pit the race car to make sure that car has got 12-second pit stops on race day.
On every stop, 7 pit crew members go over the wall. The front tire changer and the front tire carrier. The rear tire changer and the rear tire carrier. The jackman, who lifts the car using a 20-pound hydraulic jack. The gasman, who refuels the car with an 81-pound 12-gallon can. And the catch can man, who collects the fuel overflow. And then signals to the rest of the team that the refueling process is finished. The pit crew is the front line in determining victory on race day. For them, timing is everything in their effort to fuel their team in their drive to victory. From their humble beginnings, race shops are now temples of their sport. But what drives the sport remains the same: teamwork. From these temples, pit crews are the pillars of racing.
You got to have the best pit crew out there. There's nothing worse to a driver for him to be out there busting his tail, passing cars, and you come down pit road and lose 3 spots. I mean, that's the biggest demeanor to anybody, not just the driver, but everybody.
We have to have the emphasis as that teamwork to get, the job done to win races, and having teammates that work as hard and work together as good as we do, it sure does a lot for our team.
With full-time coaches and arduous practices, race teams are as well-conditioned and well-trained as any professional athletes. In their work with tires, their work is tireless.
Here at Everingham Motorsports, we spend a lot of time with pit crews. We're really committed to the pit crews, and the way we have it structured is we don't really care if they work on the race cars or not. We want them to be the smartest, the mindset, the strongest, the healthiest, the fastest. They got to be ready to perform their deal when they're called upon. You know, just like when a driver gets in, we depend on him to do his job, and we want the pit crew to have that same mentality. When a driver comes down pit road, that they're the badass people that they are, and they're going to perform their job, and no one's going to beat them. They work out an hour and a half every day, and then they get a half-hour break, and then they go for another hour and a half of pit practice.
Practice today is going to be a mixture of drills and rolling stops. Kind of crazy. That's the theme for the week. Get your rhythm. You guys heard the rhythm? Hopefully you listened to it, played it through in your mind last night on the way home. 5 off, 5 off, 5 off, 5 off. Yes, sir. 10 times. If you miss, start over. Don't let it beat you. Ready? Let's go. Things have progressed well. Again, it's out there for us to take. If we leave anything on the table, they're going to take it away from us. You got to think about it. It's championship attitude from now until, until it's over.
JB, he's a hockey player. He changed red tires for now. We have a jackman that we're bringing up now. He used to play football for the Miami Dolphins. So there's a lot of people that we're trying to train ourselves rather than go to another team and steal them away. We try to teach them the right and wrong from the start, not develop bad habits.
Start here, go on the strong side first. Both of you on the strong side. Balance the ball, stay low. Get the pivot in the hip. Stay low, pivot the hips.
If the guys all feel good together as a group, they'll want to stay. They're not in it for the money, they're in it to win races. Now we just keep trying to take it to the next level.
In NASCAR, it's the pit crews that keep teams on the road to victory.
Qualifying is so important. Why? Because your team wants to be the fastest race car out there.
Qualifying can set the tone for some teams while leaving others on the outside looking in.
49 cars ready to qualify. The drivers will tell you you can start from anywhere and win if you have to. You don't want to have to here.
The driver, he'll get inside that race car and he'll put that image of that racetrack in his mind. Sometimes they do little nervous things. They'll shake their legs in the car. They'll sing themselves songs. Anything to get their mind in the right state of mind to run the fastest lap.
Qualifying is usually held the day before the race, when every crew's full attention is turned toward turning the 2 fastest laps of the weekend.
Here's where they run into trouble right there.
Bobble. Still hanging on.
That's all it takes. Fourth.
Not bad, Smoke. Not bad at all.
While trying to earn the pole on race day, qualifying can bring out the highest highs and the lowest lows.
NASCAR's newest big star. And he did it. Oh, Carl Edwards goes around.
This is an absolute trademark of our sport, highs and lows. You can be so high and so pumped and then have something like this happen and knock the wind right out of your sails, and sometimes you overcome it.
Remember, coming to the green, get it all you can.
10-4, I'm just going to go easy into 3 there, get as much throttle as I can all the way around. It should be fun.
For young drivers, qualifying can be as much of a learning experience as the race itself.
29.90.
He broke the track record.
Good job, buddy. Good pickup.
We'll start up front. We got a car that can win this race. So just hold your heads up. Great job.
Good job, guys. That's true.
Sometimes the slightest bobble can make all the difference.
29.53. 7th after his first lap. Looking to improve on that.
It was first there for a while, but it really shoved up the racetrack there in 3 and 4.
This turned completely sideways. Seeing it.
Yeah, 10-4. I saw that. Yeah, second lap was a 72. That's P7 right now. Good effort, though, bud.
Sometimes a bad qualifying run can ruin a weekend.
Hard to believe that of all the things Rusty Wallace has done in his Nextel Cup career, he's never won a restrictor plate race.
This is sounding crazy, and it's 300 RPM ball.
Something just happened because he had not even completed lap 1. So there's definitely a problem with this 2 car.
What happened? Engine blew up.
10-4.
And sometimes a run can be perfect.
22.77, that'll go to the top of the charts for Ryan Newman.
Good job, Ryan. 10-4.
In NASCAR, a team can win from anywhere in the field. But it's a lot easier for teams that start up front to stay up front. On race weekends, NASCAR tracks are like traveling cities, and there's no place like home away from home.
The NASCAR community, home away from home. Everybody brings their motorhomes inside the racetrack where all the family members can stay in the RV, play games, eat food, and at the end of the day, go to sleep. Sunday morning, they don't have to fight 200,000 people because they're already inside the racetrack. Okay, here we are at the motorhome lot at Talladega. And this is the motorhome compound. This is where all the drivers live, usually from Thursday night till Sunday after the race. And you can tell there's sometimes 80 to 100 motorhomes, and these motorhomes range from $500,000 to $1.5 million. This is my motorhome. It's a 1999 Heritage, and everybody makes fun of me, but I tell them, hey, look, it's paid for.
Kenny Wallace may not have all the bells and whistles, but he still has all the amenities of a fine hotel.
These are my couches. They both pull out into beds. Of course, it's very important to have all my games. This is my PlayStation 2. This is my favorite game. It's an older game, but it's a lot of fun. Dirt to Daytona. I'm learning how to play Major League Baseball, but Kill Bill's a good movie, and so, you know, at nighttime you're sitting here in your motorhome, you got to have something to do. Currently, this is our kitchen area, and look what I'm doing. This is my new favorite thing. I'm toasting a sandwich. See, look, that's perfect right there. So I kind of like a toasted sandwich. I'm not a big cook, but this is kind of new. Whoa, no, shoot. My TV, and then, you know, this is our stereo, and we have, you know, satellite. Got to have satellite because that's the only way you can the Speed channel and Fox and all that. So we got great sound in here, got great speakers, and then we have a refrigerator. I'm a Pepsi freak, but then I started getting onto this Diet Coke thing because there's no calories or nothing in it. You can tell that none of them really sponsor me. And then we have our steaks marinated. My motorhome driver does that. Look how he puts these steaks in here for me, all marinated, ready to go. And then, you know, there's some chicken right there. So, boy, when you're ready to go cooking, you got it all. This is my closet, and you wonder what is in my closet. Well, our racing apparel is always stacked. Look at here. Michael Waltrip's Aaron's Dream Machine for Sunday, my Stacker 2 stuff. And then I keep all my racing hats, but this is what it's all about. St. Louis. And then this is where my dirty clothes go, right in here. I got a little vent right there so my dirty clothes breathe. This is my shower. It's not mine, it's my wife's and mine. This is shower. This is just like a little apartment. My wife's closet, she got a lot of stuff in here. Kim's always trying to help. Look at all the pillows. These pillows are for our kids. I can promise you, like at Darlington or Bristol, any track close to home, if you come to our motorhome, there are sometimes at least 10 to 12 people in the motorhome because the family likes to come. And then this is it. This is my Taj, my bed, and I love my bed. But what's great about this motorhome is it only has one slide out. And so within the RV lot, they're like, man, when's Kenny Wallace going to get rid of that 1999 Heritage? Well, first of all, it's a great motorhome. There's nothing wrong with it. And it's paid for. I owe no one. So that's a tour of my motorhome.
Whatever the track, every driver and every team in the NASCAR community wants to make their home address one place: Victory Lane. In the winner's circle, the NASCAR journey comes full circle. From building their car at the race shop, to the hours spent training and practicing, to running perfect pits and turning perfect laps. There is no greater thrill for teams and their fans alike than to see their car finish the race as a champion.